Welcome to the Social Impact Level Up podcast. This is where we blur the lines between business, nonprofit, and impact. Social entrepreneurs in our community share their stories of how they are changing the world and building a legacy of health, wealth, happiness, and wellness. I'm your host, Wendy V, along with my co-host, Rodrigo Bravo. Together, we're social entrepreneurs building a collective of impactful humans who are going to make this world a better place. We hope you'll join us. Here's today's episode. We made it. It's the final one. This is the final episode of 2022 and the final episode of our first season for the Social Impact Level Up podcast. I thought, let's do something special today. And so today, here is an episode that we did live just today on the Clubhouse app, where we brought together a lot of my favorite voices, creators, moderators, business owners, and people who are just like you, making an impact every single day. And again, we wanted to think about going into season 2 with the stories of these different people and how they make an impact. So this is the perfect transitional episode. This is the perfect conversation for you to get ready for season 2 coming your way very soon. Now, the other thing to know about this episode is we focused on two things. One, did you actually make the impact you wanted to make in 2022? And how do you figure out what the right strategy is to make a bigger impact in 2023? I hope you take a listen and enjoy, and we'll see you in season 2. I wanted to have this conversation because we have a podcast that we do every week here in the Social Impact Level Up Club on Clubhouse. And the podcast is going to end its first season. I'm really excited. So I need to edit an episode and get it out today. And I thought, okay, if I do that, I want to make sure that I have a really good episode to end our season. And the one that we did, Rodrigo, it was good, but I think we can do a bit better with a little bit of help from some really fun Clubhouse friends that I've recruited to come and help mod today. So I've got a bunch of people coming, Rodrigo. I don't even think I told you I was having this party. And then I just put it together probably in the last hour. So we'll see how we'll see how this podcast episode goes. But this is going to be our 40th episode. I'm going to pin the link for our actual podcast to the top so people can check it out. But I wanted to say, Rodrigo, how are you? I feel like I haven't talked to you for since the beginning of the year. How are you doing?
No, I'm still a little bit under the weather. So this is fantastic, actually, that you brought some friends along to help out, because I have been out from the clubhouse scene, from just speaking in general, with a head cold ever since Christmas. So really happy to see everybody here. Really happy to have this last end of the year room so that we can finish off strong. And I appreciate you for the work that you always do.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for everything that you've brought to the club over the last year. We've been here for now over a year, and I think my second anniversary on Clubhouse is coming up in January. So it's going to be, it's been the long haul here with this app. So I appreciate that you need to have your voice in order to be here and participate. So take a rest. Thanks for being here, Rodrigo. And yeah, so let's get started. So the first question I wanted to talk about today was to ask everybody, did you make the impact that you wanted to make in 2022? So reflecting on what you did in this past year, it's almost the end of the year. This episode's coming out today. It's the 30th of December. And I wanted to hear from people where they felt like they had been able to get to this year compared to where you thought you wanted to get to this year. And then flipping that, thinking about what strategies are you going to use to make an impact next year? So in 2023, what are you trying to accomplish? What strategies are you going to be enlisting? And, how are you really going to make an impact? So those are the questions for today's conversation. And I'm excited that Michelle and Darren are already here. Rocky's here. I'm going to get her up here. And and let people know that we're here and we're in the room and we're having this chat so we can kick it around in the hallways, because I think there's a couple of rooms going on at the same time. So Darren, let's go over to you first, because I know I've been able to watch you and Michelle and Rocky, all of you guys. I've watched all you guys make an impact this year, and I think you guys have a great story to tell. So Darren, I'm going to go to you first, then we'll go to Michelle, we'll go to Rocky, and let's hear what you guys what you think. Have you made the impact you wanted to make this year, and what do you plan on doing next year?
Um, to be honest, I haven't made the impact I want as much as I wanted to make. I mean, I went straight out of the gate as soon as this year started, with doing tons and tons of online training and stuff, and I was working out, how to do online marketing and all this sort of stuff. But I loads and loads of training. Um, but my training got so good and I was training so many people in terms of numbers that I then started lacking the time that I needed to do marketing and generating new leads. And I worked out the hard way that I need to be way more organized than I was aware of. So I worked out sort of halfway through the year that I need a bit more balance in terms of the training versus the marketing and generating new leads and stuff. So obviously, as you know, I'm out in Jamaica at the moment, just relaxing in the hot sun. Literally, I've just spent the last sort of 10 days or so, just sort of visualizing how I want things to be different in 2023. So yeah, in the new year, I'll just have a much more or yeah, a much more structured, purposeful thing where sort of balance out both the marketing and scaling of my business with the teaching and training part. Um, so yeah, just being a bit more organized in the new year. So I'm looking to double or at least double, if not triple, um, basically every single one of my metrics from last year, if that makes sense. But yeah, thanks for the room and the opportunity to sort of reflect on these thoughts. Haven't really thought about it, the question in the way that you're presenting it. But yeah, I'm done speaking.
Yeah. I love the visualization and doing that in Jamaica. I'm like, man, you just giving me like all the beach vibes. I love it. And I think what you said was true. I know that I had to balance the teaching and training versus marketing to get people into the training. And it was all sorts of everywhere. And yeah, Michelle's ready for the beach vibes too. And one of the things I did this year, it's funny that Alessandro came in right when I was about to say this. One of the things I did this year was invest in Alessandro's program to think about how am I actually organizing my system for presenting learning opportunities and then marketing them or marketing products after learning opportunities, and just like what does that look like. And it was a micro step. I won't say it's like I invested bajillions of dollars into Alessandro's high-end training programs that I really want to be in, but I did invest just like a small amount of time and energy into find I would say fine tuning what I was doing. And that was really helpful midway through the year to come out with an outcome that I was happy about, like more in the November timeframe with the last workshop that I did. So I would say, for anybody who's thinking about these kinds of things, that was like a lesson learned that I could definitely be more organized about how I did that particular part of my online business. So, Michelle, I'll go to you because I haven't had a chance to check in with you in a really long time, but I'd love to hear, your thoughts on what you've been able to accomplish. Definitely introduce yourselves, guys. Darren, I forgot to tell you to introduce yourself. So before we go to Michelle, I'll let you like quickly introduce yourself in case this is like the party of all my friends that I really love on Clubhouse. In case you guys don't happen to know each other, I want to make sure you guys know each other. So, Darren, really quickly introduce yourself, and then we'll go to Michelle, and we'll keep going with Rocky and Deshaun and Alessandro. And the question, if you missed it, is reflecting back on 2022, did you have the impact that you thought you wanted to make in the beginning of the year? Did you make it? And then looking forward for 2023, what is the strategy that you're really going to invest in, double down in, thinking about moving forward? What's really going to propel you to the next level? What is that thing that you're going to work on? So, Darren, really quick, introduce yourself, and then we'll go to Michelle.
Okay, thanks. I'm a psychologist. I specialize in behavioral change. So, what I mainly do is I teach coaches how to do things like hypnosis, NLP techniques, coaching strategies, all these sorts of things to help transformation happen real quick. That's what I do. I teach online, I teach programs and so on and so forth. And I do one to one coaching as well. And I mainly work with entrepreneurs and people that want to level up in whatever it is they're doing to increase their impact, really. Thank you for the intro. Done speaking.
Okay, go back to the beach, Darren. I love it. All right, Michelle, go ahead.
Good morning from the East Coast of the United States. I'm Michelle Gill, aka the Grief Curator. And if you want to know more about me, you can click on my face. Yeah, I have to agree with Darren. I didn't quite make the impact that I thought I wanted to make in 2022, but the year has been amazing and I've learned so many things about myself, about the direction I want to go in, both in personal and in business. And I really spent the year honing my voice and really embracing and leaning into the fact that my voice does matter and that people do want to hear what I have to say, because I really struggle with that. Like, oh, nobody wants to hear what I have to say. And I don't really make a difference because I'm just one person. But there was so many experiences and incidents and events that happened throughout the year that really was like the universe saying, hello, and you need to step into this. And yes, confirmation after confirmation. So that really was what my 2022 was like. My word for the year was flexibility, and it ended up kind of morphing into clarity. So I am really stepping into 2023 really open and ready for the next step. So thank you so much, Wendy, for hosting this.
Ooh, I love that. And the lesson in there about people wanting to hear your voice. I think you probably watched me along with Rodrigo, both of us figuring this out through this podcast, that people actually want to hear you talk about the things that you're passionate about or that you have expertise in, and to share your knowledge. And it's such a fine-tuning mindset piece, from going from one level of something to another, whether that's from employee to your own boss and doing your own marketing, or that's going from a regular person to a personal brand and coming out as a creator. Like, there's a lot of pieces in there where you have to flip that mindset to say, and I guess Darren would correct me on how I'm going to say it, but to say, yes, I am important. My values and my beliefs and my thoughts are important, and they need to get out to the world. And the vehicle by which I do that is creating content or having a blog or having a podcast. So good, I did it correctly, Darren. And I think that that is such an important lesson that I've had to learn this year too, Michelle. So I appreciate that. So Rocky, my love, this is somebody who I found on Instagram via Clubhouse, and Rocky and I have been able to moderate rooms together. I fangirl with Rocky all the time, and she knows I love her. But the one thing I love about Rocky's content is she is the realest of the real in her content, and when you're talking about your voice and your authenticity, it makes me excited to see somebody be so authentic and have their following grow, and it gives you like hope that you in having your authentic voice will also have the same outcome. So Rocky, my love, are you available? Can we chat about you?
Yeah,
How's your
let's
year
let's
been?
chat.
How's your impact? And I know you have like a thoughts of making an impact in other ways in your business to help other people. So what are you planning to do for next year as well? So go for it,
It's
girl.
it's funny that this conversation is coming up because I think I just created a riot on TikTok about my impact and how I feel about certain things. But hi you guys, my name is Rocky and I'm a social media manager and I have a marketing agency. So my impact came in kind of different this year. I went back to my full time job teaching. I was a full time business owner. I had a marketing agency, and honestly, I was bored. Man, full time business is great, except I'm a people person. I'm an extrovert, and I actually felt like Wendy, that like I wasn't making an impact. And yes, I'm making an impact in business, but that's business. I want to help people in some way besides just making money and creating a life for themselves. And I know it may seem a little dense, maybe, but that's great. But what about the other things? So my passion was always in teaching. I have a friend, she works at the school board, and she said, you teach business and marketing. There's some business and marketing jobs at the school. Why don't you just take it to the school and start teaching? And I was like, oh, that'd be great, because now I can get back into society. I can talk to people again. I can teach and help others. I love children, by the way. If I could have 10 kids, I would have 10 kids. I wouldn't have them now, though, because I have adults now. They're all adults, minus my baby, who's about to be 15. But so I went back into teaching, and that has been the most impactful thing I have done since September, and I absolutely love it. Not only that, because I went back to teaching, it's actually helped me to structure my mindset to where my business is actually thriving, because I'm forced to be more productive, be more intentional. So while working as a teacher, I've grown my business dynamically. I've gotten more clients. confidence, more focus. It's just crazy how everything kind of flowed together. But for me, the impact was on the children. Not only that, me asking that of God, like, hey, let me, impact the kids. I have downtown kids, right? So these are kids that will call me the B word to my face and then hug me in the hallways because they love me. Like, Miss Rocky, I'm sorry. You know I love you. I'm like, mm-hmm. So these are kids that are a challenge to me because they don't have their mothers, their fathers are being raised by family members. Their parents are strippers or drug dealers, or some kids come into school high and they're in middle school, you guys. So my impact is kind of shown a little bit differently. And I'm actually a STEM teacher, which is technology. And that was like my original passion to begin with when I was in the military. So that's how my impact is formulating. I have decided that, at the end of the school year, I think I'm going to be done, but not with schooling. I'm now going to take my business in the aspect of building out a marketing program for after school so that it's something for myself that I can help to impact without being right underneath the payroll docket, if that makes sense. So something that I can bring to the after school program, because there's a lot of people that don't acknowledge that schools have millions of dollars for funding and education and programs that they are not using. So I'm going to stop teaching, build out this after school program to teach business and marketing to teenagers. And me teaching right now has been an avenue. So that's what I've been doing in 2022, closing out, and it's going to be an amazing 2023. And I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Yes, and I love that. And I knew you had that youth program that you were thinking about. We need to talk about that. But I love the idea of we have this in our podcast, which I just you reminded me to link when you said this. The idea of moving back and forth through entrepreneurship, and sometimes you go to a full-time job, or you do another thing, or you have a part-time gig, or you have my part-time gig is playing with other people's puppies, and so I have dogs in my content all the time. You see random ass dogs. People are like, "Who are these dogs at your house?" I'm like, oh, it's my Rover dog. I just got paid $700 to keep this guy for a week. What? So I love it, Rocky. Whatever you're passionate about, whatever makes you happy, bring the joy into your life. And if kids do that for you, girl, you couldn't pay me enough to have 10 kids. I would run away from that mess. But I love that for you because that means starting a youth program is going to be no problem. So awesome. I love it. Thank you for being here. So Deshaun is one of my friends that I met here on Clubhouse as well that I'd love to talk to because he gives such a good perspective for I want to say for a young person, but I know you're so wise that I don't want to even try to taint your reputation. But Deshaun, come and talk to us a little bit more about the impact that you were able to make through the various things that you do. I know you do all kinds of things. You're like a Renaissance man. And what are you thinking for 2023?
So, Wendy, I just sent you a message. I want to know, could you skip over me? I currently have to do something real
Yeah,
fast.
we'll go to Alessandro. No
I
worries.
will,
Let me know when you're back.
yeah, I'll back channel you when I'm good.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. So Alessandro, good morning. How are you? I'm excited that you're here. Tell us, I know I'm going to say you did have the impact that you wanted to make in 2022, but you probably have really big goals. So tell us more about what you're thinking, you were able to accomplish this year, and what strategies are you investing in for next year?
Thank you, Wendy. I love this topic. I love this topic. When you say the word strategy, I'm always on board. I love it. I always repeat the fact that if you take action but you don't have a strategy that is backing up the actions that you take, at the end it's like you do nothing. So I'm a big ambassador of having strategies or plans or something that you're following, like a step-by-step method that you're following. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen for you and your business. Anyway, thank you so much for having me in this room. As I told you, I'm gonna recover all the episodes in your podcast because, as I messaged you, I didn't listen to your podcast. I'm guilty of that. I didn't know that you had a podcast, so I didn't listen to it. But I'm getting back to listen everything that I missed so far. Talking about strategies for 2023. I'm gonna do something really simple actually. I know that saying it like this is looks like, I don't know, simple and stupid, but I'm gonna do more of what worked for me in 2022. That's all I'm gonna do. And that's the kind of thing that I do at the end of each year. And it's crazy how people never stop for a second looking at what actually worked for them during the year. Instead, we keep doing things, we keep going on and on and on, and we never stop for a second thinking, okay, so let's see. What did I do this year that brought me more results, and what are the things that didn't bring me any results? Because I should stop doing the second ones and I should double down on the first ones, right? So I realized that this year I started using, my method is all about boot camps, it's all about workshops, and I've done more boot camps than in the previous year, and this is the thing that made me get more clients, made me get more customers, and made me help more people. So in 2023, I'm gonna double down on that. I'm gonna do more boot camps. I'm gonna help more people create their own boot camps because I think that it's one of the most important uh, things that it's one of the most powerful things that you can do right now to grow your audience and get clients. So I'm gonna do more of them. I'm gonna help more people create their own bootcamps, and I'm gonna delegate a lot of things that are taking away a lot of my time that I can invest on more important things. So I'm gonna delegate more. I'm gonna hire more people. I'm gonna make my team get a little bigger, and that's it. I think that's it. I will keep creating content. That's what I do and what I love. I will keep creating rooms here and content for my other profiles on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and I will run more bootcamps that I know bring me results, bring me clients, and bring me customers. So that's it. Thank you so much, Wendy. Back to you.
I love that idea. And there's research behind this, Alessandro. I can I can share with you if you need more, because I know you and I like nerdy things. But the way that you implement and get good at something over time involves exactly what you're talking about, looking at what worked and then refining your strategy rather than going on to another strategy. I mean, and a lot of us would know it from corporate as the continuous quality improvement process, right? Like you're going through over and over again, and instead of like diverting onto a different method of something, you're kind of going through with the same product or the same service that you already provide and refining and refining. And when you hear like Alessandro talk about it, though, it's so much more accessible, I guess. Is that one of the things I'll say is, as someone who's worked with you and been part of your programs, it's really easy to understand his method of doing that. And over time, really what that builds is actually an evidence base of how effective he is at this type of building programs and workshops and boot camps. So that's one of the things I will say about Alessandro's work is I've got to see exactly how he makes an impact, but also how he teaches you, how can you use the same method to make an impact? And it's really easy to digest. So if anybody needs that resource, definitely reach out and connect with him, because I can give a real life testimonial that he's legit helped me. So, and I still need to release my boot camp in January, Alessandra. So I will be the first one to say thank you for listening to my podcast. And this is one of the reasons why my boot camp has not come out is because I've been focusing on
Wendy,
the podcast.
this is the least I can do because when I ask you for a testimonial for my bootcamp, you basically send me a movie. You sent me a movie with video editing, and it was incredible. I think that is the most incredible video testimonial that I ever got from one of my customers. So that's the least I can do. Like get all the episodes and listen all the episodes. I don't know how many episodes you have in that podcast. I think more than
You're
a
going to be
hundred,
there. Well,
right?
it's like 40, just
Yeah.
40.
Ah, okay. I thought it was more than 100. Well, I can make it so.
That's funny. I love it. I love your support. And I think that this is the great part about it is you're a real person who actually like hangs out and talks to your people, your clients who are in your boot camps and your programs. So thanks for being here. And so then I want to go to Miss Ebony because you've been here, and Marcella, and then we'll go to Sandra. And the question of the day is reflecting on your 2022, did you make an impact the impact you thought you wanted to make? And then looking forward to 2023, what strategies are you really investing in? And everybody who's here, thanks for being here, y'all. If you want to share the room, let people know that we're here having this conversation. If you want to jump up and be part of the conversation, you're more than welcome to. If you just want to chat in the chat box, go ahead, do that too, and we'll be happy to have you participate in any way that you want to. But just want to make sure that your voice is always welcome in this space to come and share your experience and share what lessons you've learned. So, Miss Ebony, I want to go to you. How are you today?
I'm actually quite well, thank you. Thank you. Bit tired. I think 2023, I'm going to try and get more sleep. That's for certain. That might be a helpful way to kind of start the year. Yeah, I don't sleep enough. I know someone on here has the same experience. But anyway, I'm here. So my 2022 was kind of up and down year. A little bit tragic. I had a couple of tragedies. Yeah. Um, and so my thing has been really just about keeping going and pursuing the goals that I'd set out at the beginning of the year, not allowing myself to be totally derailed by the things, the curveballs that come at you. So my goal at the beginning of the year was to really just plan towards leaving my 9 to 5. And I've had so many great collaborations on this app that actually that's become closer to being a reality. So I started off by creating a podcast or a YouTube channel. Well, it serves both purposes. So on YouTube, I started videos and interviewing people in my Hidden Gems Academy, which is really just to uncover people who are doing great things that need to be discovered or uncovered. So I have interviewed probably 18. I think I've had 18 interviews this year, but I'm really happy that I achieved over 1,000 subscribers, which for me is a great achievement for such a short time. I really only started 6 months ago, so I think that's a good achievement. And then, but I want to do more in 2023. Definitely want to interview more people. Want to widen my reach and speak to more business owners, more just more people probably on this app and elsewhere. So I'm going to do more work in that area. The other thing that I've done, I've set up my very first masterclass. In the corporate world, I deliver training all the time. That's my work with leaders. So I wanted to do that, and I have managed to set a masterclass on how to release your voice and speak powerfully. And that's a 2-hour masterclass that's going to run for the next 6 months from the 12th of January. So I'm really pleased with that. And I have a first class that's full. So I think that's a massive achievement given that, just before I started really seriously marketing it, my ex-husband died. Then I went on a holiday, then came out for a burial. Like everything that could happen this year has kind of happened. So I'm really pleased with the results. I think what I'm most pleased about is some of the relationships I've managed to build from this app, and the fact that I've managed to have at least 4 rooms where I've been talking about speaking and releasing your voice. And so, yeah, it's been great. I think when things are down, the chips are down, sometimes the energy you get is from the doing, not kind of sitting and soaking up the misery, which is easy to do. So I'm just keeping on for 2023 and standing in gratitude for everything that's happened, everything I've achieved, and for still being here, still being able to plan anything. So grateful for all of you. Nice to meet you if I haven't met you before. Hi to Darren, who's been one of my rock stars this year. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Oh, and love and hugs to you for everything that you've gone through. I think you spoke to me in what you were saying, that there's a point where we can't take ourselves away from our work and our people, our personal experience as a person here on this earth. And as entrepreneurship, and we talked about these themes all throughout the first season of the podcast, entrepreneurs have to be human and in their experience and share that, what their values are, what their human experience is, but also you have to be able to show up for your business. And sometimes you can't do that if you haven't taken care of yourself through the things that happen to you or happen in your lifetime. And it's really difficult sometimes to take that apart. So, healing through that or finding healing space while you're on your journey is really important. So thanks for sharing that. And the example of, how you continue to move forward and think about building community and collaborations. I think that you're right. This app has been really important for a lot of us to find collaborators. Like I was able to in, 2 hours this morning, get all these different people together, and it's just like, come mod with me, and get all of the folks who were part of our community throughout the year or throughout my spaces to come to the same conversation and just kind of have a space where we all contribute. And I think that that's a really important point, is to continue to build those opportunities together and with each other. Because if you notice, a lot of folks here are very aligned in what they're saying. And so, we are bringing together the right people with the right vibes, and we just need to continue to provide these opportunities to each other to grow together and to share and to be part of these really awesome conversations. So thanks for being here, Miss Ebony. It's good to meet you, and I'm excited to get to know you from Darren. So thanks for being here. Um, so Marshala, I want to give you the mic real quick, and then we'll go to Sandra. How are you, love? How's it going? And what do you want to share?
Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Marshella. I am an artisan herbalist and also an entrepreneur of a vegan skincare brand. And this year has been very trying with near-death experiences for family members. So I had to pause my business for almost 3 months throughout the year. But despite everything, all the knockdowns, I was able to receive a social impact grant that is going to allow me to teach a course, a 4-week course in my local community for artisan handmade aspiring entrepreneurs or current entrepreneurs, because I've been able to have many breakthroughs throughout the 8 years, which includes city contracts. And also, I am in a yoga space now because I make yoga mindful mat cleaners, like to clean your yoga mats and stuff. And my products are in a space there. And I finally have one product on Amazon. I'm working on it. I have to create some video content. But I wanted to make this year, and the course was supposed to be earlier, but I know everything's in the right timing. And the year of the rabbit is coming up. So I just want to give back to so many people, especially in New York. I see so many entrepreneurs or handmade artisans, and I want to show them that how, first of all, they can create an online presence, right, with a newsletter, but also to really be clear about their goals and how they can get city contracts and opportunities, because that in all the business courses I've ever taken, I'm MWB certified, all that, they never focus on artisans. And this is something that makes, especially New York, and I know many cities, people look for handmade and they look for local. They want to support these businesses. So I'm so appreciative for that. And reflect, I was listening to Alessandro, ¿verdad? And he was talking about really reflecting on what worked, right? So I want to reflect on what works and doesn't work, looking at my analytics, right? When I see people buy, what's not working, and definitely know I have to polish my pages, but also looking at my budget, paying taxes on time. Right? That's so hard when you're I'll say a micro entrepreneur is paying the taxes on time. So I want to do an integration when the taxes come out already and they're already sent. But I'm just so appreciative to be able to have a business that uses sustainable packaging. It's very hard when you're a mini entrepreneur, micro entrepreneur, to use sustainable packaging because it costs more. But this is one way that I know as my business grows and continues to get more B2B clients, that this is going to be important, not only for the business, but for the environment. So thank you for letting me speak, Wendy. I appreciate you so much, even though you don't always see me on, but I do follow you and listen to stuff that you do. So thank you. I'm going to pass it to Sandra.
Oh, yay! No, and it's good to see you. I was gonna say I'm glad you're back because I haven't seen you in so long, but that explains it. And I love that you said, yeah, you had a bunch of things to heal through as well this year. So we're sending you lots of love. So Sandra, how are you? And I wanted to share just really quickly, thank you for being here, but also thank you, Victoria, for hopping up. We'll go back to Deshawn and then we'll go to Victoria next. So Sandra, what is your thoughts on 2022 and what are you strategizing for 2023?
Hi, Wendy. How are you? Well, first of all, I didn't know you had a podcast, so I went in now and I looked at it, and I'm gonna listen to them as well because you have a great like speaking voice. It's like so calming. So I'm gonna go back and listen to those episodes as well. So for 2023, I was speaking to my coach yesterday, who happens to be right above me, Alexandro, right? I wanna scale my business because I'm an online course creator. I help coaches and entrepreneurs create their courses. So, like a few weeks ago, I have a client who, when I showed her the draft of her course and her workbook, she literally fell off of her chair. She was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I've been wanting to do this forever and it's finally coming to life." So, that really impacts me because I see how I can help business owners scale their businesses and, make their dreams come true, because that's what actually she said. I've been dreaming about this course forever. So, I'm doing a few things. I'm creating different types of services so that those people that can't afford the done for you service can book me as a consultant for a more economical price. That way they can create their courses, because I think all we want to do, we want to grow and build our businesses, and having additional streams of income will help. So this is what I want to do, and again, grow my business. I just hired my sister and I want to train her because I talk to everyone that will listen and saying, you guys have such an opportunity to create businesses online. You don't know how many things you can do online. People that are looking for work and they can't find work, you have to look at what it is that you're good at. So I want to help more people, join this entrepreneurship that we all are in. And we're all in this together. There shouldn't be any competition. We should all grow together, and what is it that they say, like, pull the people up as you grow as well. And yeah, thank you, Wendy, for this room, and I'll pass it back to you.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I love that. That collective impact is so important. And thank you for the compliments about my voice. I love the podcast as a vehicle, and that's actually the strategy that I'm choosing. I'm definitely going to be better about marketing the podcast, as Alessandro said. He was like, "What? You have a podcast?" And I was like, "I know, Alessandro." I'll send you the funny story about why I haven't been marketing the podcast in the back channel. But I think that this is the vehicle I love because we've had so many important conversations throughout the year in this club that Rodrigo and I have led with, even two people, three people, or just the two of us in some episodes. And we always talk about how do we make a bigger impact. And I think that these conversations are really important because so many of us as entrepreneurs, our goal is the impact. The profit is what allows us to thrive and continue to do this. But the real purpose that we're coming to the work from is the purpose of having something to share with others that we think they can learn from our journey. And so I love that, the way that Sandra does that is through courses, essentially, which I still have yet to really utilize fully what that looks like for me. But I think that it is important, transferring knowledge, sharing your information is super duper important. And the different vehicles that we have to use, whether that's marketing or through workshops, boot camps, courses, like all these different vehicles, all of them are really equally important. It's just what strategy are you going to choose? And what Alessandro said earlier, if you guys missed it, was choose a strategy. Don't just do like 50 things. And I think that was one of the big lessons I learned this year as well, is how do you say, this is the strategy that I'm investing my time and my space and my energy in, and I'm going to do it over and over again to get better at it and refine it and to be able to do it, in a more productive and in a way that's going to reach more people and make a bigger impact. And so if you missed that point, just getting back to that, it's really, really important because we all, I think, are motivated by the making an impact. And then the profit is kind of like the icing on the cake that comes with it. So I'm going to go back to Deshaun really quickly, and then we'll go to Victoria. And then if anybody wants to come up and join us for this conversation, you're more than welcome. Like Darren said, get other people in here. We'll go to the top of the hour. And if anybody wants to share, you're more than welcome to come up and share. So Deshaun, are you back, hun? There you
I
are.
am.
Okay, go for it.
Hey, so hello from South Carolina. So 2022 has definitely it's been an eye-opening year for me. Not only did I like doubt myself in so many different things, but I've also came down with COVID at the close to the end of the year. But I've also learned a lot about. I've learned on how to transform myself within a lot more so that I can go out and help those that I desire to help. Um, and so, whether that's helping them transform into the person they want to be in order to create the change they want to see, or whether it's talking about mental health. And those are two things that has really stood out for me this year. And I've noticed, especially over the past few weeks of creating content, you know, pictures don't work for me anymore. It's all I literally have to do Instagram reels a lot more now, and it gets a bigger audience reach because I'm able to step out, show them, hey, I'm a real person, and this is what I do, this is what I talk about, and things of that nature. But also, I get to show them the side that no one ever sees, which is the side where I'm stepping inside a six-sided, a four-sided squared circle, and putting on a wrestling show every other Saturday for fans and for family, and just being out of the element. And so going into 2023, I want to focus more on pushing out, just like Wendy, pushing out my podcast a lot more so that more eyes and ears can get onto it, but also taking what I have experienced during 2022 and continue to create content to push out, whether that's on transformation and also on mental health and suicide prevention, so that we can continue to raise awareness on that. Um, I I'm currently working on the strategy now, so I'm thinking, hey, maybe videos is going to be the best way for me to reach that audience, especially since I have a huge following on TikTok. So I'm going to be posting on TikTok a lot more, on Instagram and on Facebook a lot more. So maybe those are the avenues I need to do, and not so much worry about just posting a picture and trying to give a description. So going into 2023, I'm with the transformation mindset and the this is what I need to focus on, and this is how I'm going to do it. So I will yield my mic there.
Yeah, and I think that you're right. The podcast question is, I came in the chat as well, like what was going on with the marketing of the podcast. My thing was I wanted to move all the episodes onto YouTube. I didn't know when we started this that YouTube had a place just for podcasts, that I really needed to get over there and put all the episodes on. So the podcast was something that I joke about with people, that I started on a Friday night with a bottle of wine and like an idea. And was messing around with my Clubhouse replays. I mean, and I teach this strategy to people, but it's really not that complicated. And when I realized I had a podcast, was like almost 3, 4 months later, I didn't launch it with a marketing plan. I didn't know, to be frank. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, hey, I have a podcast. And people are like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I got like 20 episodes. And people are like, what are you talking about? You really have a podcast if you have 20 episodes. And it's really funny because I didn't realize that a lot of podcasts don't make it past like 10 episodes. So we blew past that super fast because we were having these spaces with important conversations here on Clubhouse that I was just repurposing and sharing because I had access to do so, right? And there wasn't a whole lot of thought around marketing and growing the podcast. When I finally went to a conference, 9 months later after starting it in January, I went to a conference around September, And people were talking about their podcasts that hadn't even started yet, and they were like way ahead and thinking about marketing. And I was like, shoot, I missed the ball on that one. And so there's been a process since then of teaching myself, well, what should I be doing to market the podcast? And marketing it and getting all you hear, this is part of the process. Good job, guys. You got here. But I think that, if you've never heard of this podcast, please follow us and go find us on Apple Podcasts and give us 5 stars, and we would love you. But I think that the point of what we're thinking about going forward is, what are we doing for season 2 to highlight stories of impact and individual social entrepreneurs? So the other question I got in the back channel is, do we have people on our podcast? And absolutely, what I'm doing right now, and what Rodrigo and I are going to be doing, is interviewing individual people and having different episodes that are not only just focused on one entrepreneur, but then other episodes throughout the season that are continuing to be these important conversations that we're going to have on Clubhouse. Then they'll all just be part of the story of how do you navigate social entrepreneurship, and what does this look like for different people, because everybody's story has lessons learned and everybody makes an impact in different ways. And if you've heard that through the stories that we've shared this morning of people's reflections of their last year, people are making a really big impact for a lot of people, with a lot of thousands of folks in their audiences, right? But what are you doing with that, and how do you keep going, and how do you stay motivated, and how do you continue to show up? Those conversations people aren't having, which is why we have this podcast, which is why we have these spaces, is because I want to continue to support the people who are making social change. And that's all of you guys who are here talking about this today. So thank you guys for being here. And if anybody is, down listening and wants to come up, I see you, Kurt. I see you hanging out and not coming up. So come up if you want to. But anybody who wants to share their story of, what impact did you think you were going to make in 2022? Did you make it? And then where are you thinking as your strategy for 2023? So I'm going to go to Victoria, and then I'll check in with Rodrigo, see if he's still alive, and we'll start closing down the room. So Victoria, let us know, what are your thoughts?
Oh, hi. Thank you. Yes. So I would say that this year has been a year of me trying out a lot of things that I've been planning and wanting to do for many years. And somehow they all came together and I was able to try them out. And now for next year, I am doing 3 Italian culinary retreats. I have planned for next year. But the thing that I have been impressed with, that somehow these things have happened and organically grown. And I realize that I have to keep changing all the time. I can't stick to one model. It just doesn't work. And so I'm going to be doing these 3 culinary retreats. And today I had a conversation with somebody in Italy who wants me to come with the Italian chef I collaborate with, to come to their villas and hotels and deliver just workshops. And my initial thought was, I can do this in the UK. But no, I must get out my comfort zone. And somehow I've put myself in Italy. And so this looks like something that I might possibly do. Somebody mentioned social media. Not social media, sorry, being online. I have re-recorded lots of my videos for instruction, and they will be online. And I'm also creating some new shorter courses, because I'm seeing that people, particularly in the UK, are slower about booking my courses. But the interesting thing is, I don't quite know how it happens, but I get people who hear me talking on Clubhouse from the United States and Canada who have been coming to the UK. So that has been really encouraging. So yes, it's a little bit of everything I've wanted to do started to come together last year, and now I'm moving it forward for the new year. So thank you.
Ooh, I love that. And yes, I want to come to Italy for whatever reason. So if you have a workshop there, I'm like, what? Alessandro knows I'm a big fan of Italian food and traveling in Italy. So anytime anybody says anything there, I'm like, sounds like a good idea. But it's nice to meet you, Victoria, and welcome to the community. And it's exciting to hear you talking about, yeah, maybe, expanding your audiences on Clubhouse is a great way to share your impact with others who wouldn't otherwise get to know you. So thanks for the reminder about the importance of, being open to who is your target audience. So Carla, welcome to the conversation. I hope you got to hear the prompt, but I'll repeat it again. It's, really, where have you been able to get to this year in reflection? Was it where you thought you got to and you wanted to go? And if you are looking at strategies for 2023, what does that look like for you? And introduce yourself to us.
Well, hello. I feel like it's been forever since I've seen you. Thank you for having me here. And hello, everybody. My name is Carla Doctor. I'm a doctor by last name only. And I'm an embodiment coach, speaker, and author. And 2022 brought a bunch of lessons, as every year does. And while I thought that I would be in a different space than I am now. I know that I have been planting the seeds over the last year. And, I launched a group coaching program. And for me, that was a big commitment thing for me. And so really excited to rinse and repeat and expand that container to see what that really becomes capable of becoming. And so that happened and that was really great. And I also it's like this message continues to flow through, but it's like the more me that I am, the more opportunities and pieces come into alignment, which is challenging when society tells us that it's not okay to be us or to do us, or, being an entrepreneur and a single mom and doing all these things. And really just embracing all of me and that building the brand around me and how that happens is just by being present, right? It's not about thinking about what my brand is. It's about just me being me and actually speaking out and sharing that. I know one of the things as far as strategy is really for me to share the things that I've been writing about. It's like I have all of these books and journals with all of these thoughts and ideas and golden nuggets that I've been selfishly keeping to myself. And so for me, my strategy will be to really record the reels, post it messy, do it imperfect, and continue to share that. We talk about we want to make the impact, and I've been on the back end trying so hard to try to think about how I'm going to monetize it versus just making the impact and allowing universe to gift me with the finances or the abundance or the whatever else. And so I've contracted with some pretty cool companies, one in the UK helping online entrepreneurs like do co-working together online. And so I'm just open to all of these new possibilities and effing the how for now, like forgetting about all that and just being more in flow, more in alignment, and sharing the thoughts it is that need to be shared. So that is a little bit of 2022 in a nutshell and my aim for 2023. Thank you so much for having me. Lovely to meet you all.
Yeah, no, thanks for being here. I was like, I can't believe I don't follow you on Instagram. I was like, that's weird. But yeah, I love that idea that, being more in alignment and thinking about how do you take those steps in your day to day to not be worried about the monetization part or the pressures of growing or whatever it is that your goal is, but to really be doing it in a way that feels natural. And I love the do it messy. I've been convincing myself more and more that that's the way to go. And it is hopeful to take some of the pressure off to just be able to create and share the message and to give people. And it's great when I hear people go, "Oh, I've seen your videos," or "Oh, this looks blah blah blah," or whatever, and they actually remembered something I said, and I'm like, "Oh, that's fantastic." But it's great now when I think about it because it means that people are actually listening and seeing and getting the information. So I appreciate that you're sharing the same thing. That's hopefully, you'll be able to share a lot of really great nuggets and get that impact with your audience. So excited for you to growth in 2023. So Coach Lily, welcome to the stage. Introduce yourself and let us know, what your journey has been like this year, who you are, and what impact you would want to make in 2023. What are the strategies you're going to use to do that?
Hello, Wendy, and everybody in the room. I'm Coach Lily, and I'm specifying on assisting people uh, to heal the connection with self. And when this connection is in place, then all other connections also improve and harmonize. So, the year of 22 was huge for me in terms of um, my own transformation, my own reconnection to self and remembrance of who I am, why I am here, what's my mission, what's my purpose, and many relationships, like discovering myself through many different relationships, like friendships and family. So in 2023, I don't know if you noticed, but I started sensing it a while ago, a few months ago, that looks like we are turning as a collective, we are turning into embodiment culture, healing through the embodiment. So if we want to succeed, first, of course, we need to take care of self. So this, I see also collectively is very, very active, and people are more and more realizing the urgent need to reconnect with their heart, because we as a collective, we were for way too long in our head, and that's why we created destructive jobs, working that we hate, relationships that society approves but our heart doesn't feel well with. All of those have been bubbling up in 2020, realizing that we are not living in our truth. So now in 2023, I see, because I myself, I'm from healing therapy industry coaching, I see that more and more already people started offering embodiment practices, releasing trauma from our body through physical activities, because by now we done really good job to connect to our mind, to connect to our heart. Those were worked on very well. What is left is the physical body, and I believe that this is a part of impact, first to ourselves. When we do it for ourselves, then we are able to offer the same to other people. And whatever industry you are in, and you don't need to be a healer, a coach, a therapist, no. But knowing those basic tips and practices that work to sustain our personal energy fits to any kind of industry, because we want to reach the success certain, right, by impacting other people on a positive note. So yeah, that's my insight and my lessons, and I'm glad for the space to share, and I'm going to listen, you guys.
Oh, thank you for being here. And you definitely hit on something we talk about in the podcast threads of our conversations, as well as finding like-minded and like-hearted people and coming together as a collective and as a group of people who we know that we have aligned values, or we have aligned work, or we have aligned missions, and that we can support and elevate together. And in that, understanding that we do need spaces for healing, but also the great part about being part of a collective is you have people like Michelle and like others who hold healing spaces. And so how do we make sure to take advantage of the fact that we have folks like you and others in the collective who can provide those kinds of conversations and spaces for us so that we can, as a group of people who are trying to elevate and trying to help others, we can also to make sure to do the self work that's required of us to be able to show up and do that and be those bigger containers. And so I think that, that's one of the beautiful things about the community that we built. So if you're not part of the club, join the club. We do these rooms. Rodrigo and I were doing them once a week, but we haven't figured out what we're going to do for 2023. We're going to probably be a little bit more intentional and bringing together spaces like this where we're bringing a topic and then saying like, hey, collective, come together and have the conversation. And I think that the healing one is a really important one to continue having, because there is such a need for everybody to feel supported and feel like, hey, there's others having this journey that's aligned and similar to you. Learn from their journey, but also know that you're not alone. And there's kind of power in that idea that you're not alone. So Bella, I'm going to turn it to you, and then we're going to start winding down the conversation. What do you want to share about your year and your journey, and who are you, and what strategies are you going to use for 2023 going forward?
Thank you very much. I've been listening, and I'm so glad that everyone is moving forward and using 2022 as the foundation on which to move forward. For me, 2022 was a landmark on Clubhouse because I ran a room towards the latter stage where I explained the science behind emotions and spoke about neuroscience, which is my academic background, which forms part of my academic background. So I think with 2023, I loved listening to Coach Diddy. We support each other on this app. I think for 2023, I will be holding at least 2 rooms a month because they're always very well attended. And sometimes on reflection, I feel that there is a gap before the next room. So if I have a series of topics, then people can look on the site and then see which is coming next. I think in the new year, I have to discuss this with my supporters. I will be talking about emotions and New Year resolutions. I think that's going to be the first topic because why is it that people make resolutions and they don't stand? And how can we make those resolutions stand? And lots of people talk from the heart and mention the heart. Um, my perception, and it's not right or wrong, is that it's connecting to the divine essence of who you really are. Um, the essence of who we are really are sometimes gets put to the side because we hear other people talking about how they had advanced, and then we try to copy that, forgetting that the divine essence is who we really are. And when we connect to that rather than our senses, which I term free will, whether we're connecting to our senses, what is culturally being said, what we see, hear, taste, etc., or we sit and connect to the divine essence. Because when we do that, the divine essence is love. And love is in everything, good, bad, indifferent. It just is. Then we can find our path. And so for me, 2023 is going to connect more to the divine essence of who I am and how I can contribute my skills and talents to helping others connect to the essence of who they are. Because that's why we're here. We're all connected to essence. And if one is not, it affects us all. So that's all I wanted to contribute. I'm Bella and I'm complete.
Ooh, that's brilliant. I love it. I'm so glad you came in with Coach Julie and we got to meet you. And welcome to the community. And it's great to hear you. I'm a big fan of learning about anything neuroscience. I was a cognitive sciences undergrad major, and so I'm deep into psychology and brain functioning. But I also love how you brought in the spirituality and the piece of people being called towards purpose, because I do believe that impact driven entrepreneurs have are following and have an active calling to follow a purpose. And a lot of us don't necessarily know what it is or say that it's, religious aligned or anything like that. We're really just called towards that purpose. And I think that in that, a lot of the times we come together, like I said, with like-minded and like-hearted people, just out of sheer magnetism. And having these spaces and having these conversations allows for that to happen. And so I'm really excited for this energy today. One of my purposes I heard this morning was to hold this space and to say, okay, yes, we have the celebration for the end of the podcast season, but we want to go out with a bang because I think there's a lot of important voices that need to be heard today in this episode. And we want to make sure to hold the space for those voices to come through. So I'm excited folks that just stepped up and joined. And so Bella, thanks for being here. And Mimi, one of my friends that I love here on this app, who I have had such a blast moderating spaces with because we have such a same bubbly personality. But besides that, Mimi, I just want to hear the update from you, girl. How do you feel your impact has been in the last year? And what are you looking forward to as a strategy for 2023 going forward for success?
Well, Wendy, I had to come up, girl. Is this the last room for 2022 for you?
Yes, this is the last space I'm holding this year. I'm done. I'm done. I'm off Clubhouse for the rest. Unless I troll in somebody else's space, I'm done in my own.
I love it. Well, happy New Year, everyone. Honestly, I came in kind of late. I have so many thoughts just listening to everybody who I've heard so far. So I'm gonna have to like re-listen, listen to the replay. 2022 has been an amazing year for myself. A lot of growth mentally has happened. I had a lot of limiting beliefs in the beginning of the year with a lot of the projects that I wanted to create. And one of them was creating my first ever boot camp. And I was just holding off. I was dragging my feet. I was like, just so worried that I wouldn't sell a ticket or a spot. And I don't know how I got over it, Wendy. I think it was just, the people in my life, especially the people on Clubhouse. Like these are my entrepreneur friends here on Clubhouse. And I launched the boot camp and I sold spots. And that just kind of gave me the fire to go into 2023, knowing that I can do this. Like I can do this. If I put my mind to it, I can do this. So I'm looking forward to 2023, more projects, girl, less limiting beliefs. And I think a strategy for myself, which may have already been mentioned, I think a big strategy for business, at least for my own business, is to get my health and wellness in check. Like that needs to be first and foremost. Like I need to stop ignoring working out and feeding my body nutrients. So that's my goal. Pass it back to you, girl.
Oh, yes. Yes. No, the well-being is definitely a big goal, I think, for a lot of us. And even for me, who is like a big wellness person and who makes time for it every day, I got my numbers back from my doctor and she's like, well, you're a woman of a certain age. So, and I'm like, oh, adjustments ahead. But I love it. And it's recommitting to your journey, right? That you, even if you think you're doing the best you can and you're doing pretty good, you can always be doing better. And I do love chocolate. So I'll leave it at that. But I wanted to say thank you guys, everybody, for being here today. It's been a wonderful conversation, and I love this is why we have this club, and this is exactly why we have these spaces, but also why a bunch of you guys are already in my network. And if you weren't already, I added you to my network. The purpose of these conversations is to have incredible humans who are changing the world hear each other and get the motivation to keep going. And sometimes we think we're alone in this journey, or a lot of the times as social entrepreneurs or online entrepreneurs, we're by ourselves in the things that we're creating. And you heard that a lot this year, the limiting beliefs, the, other things that people were struggling with that we talked about earlier in the conversations. Not knowing which strategy to really invest in or not knowing where to go, that's exactly why I exist, or why I'm here, is to help people like get through some of those little difficult times, but also for us to have these communal spaces where we talk about elevating and we learn from each other's journeys. And that's really a big part of what I think my calling is to create a community in the next year. So more to come on that, on what that's going to look like. But I'm sure all of you guys will be the first invites to come and be part of that community. And I think that the important part is that we stay connected and support each other. So if you guys haven't already taken the time to check each other's Instagrams and follow each other on other platforms, I'm going to make sure that we keep the room open just a couple minutes longer so everybody can connect. And also, we would very much appreciate you guys going back and listening to some of the other episodes from earlier in the year, any of them that have a title that resonates with you. I've been doing a lot of stuff with this podcast to try to get it up to from a bottle of wine and a funny idea to a actual podcast, y'all. So look at the show notes and take a look and see if any of the episodes have a calling for you and something that you're interested in learning more about. Take a listen. There's a lot of wisdom shared in the conversations that we've had over the past year. And then the other thought I wanted to just say is thank you to my co-host Rodrigo, who has been here even in the sickness of this week, but every other week, just being here with me on this journey and being part of these conversations and also sharing his wisdom so freely in this space. So, Rodrigo, do you have any other last words that you want to share and reflections about this last year of the podcast and anything else you want to explore?
I'll be very brief. One of the biggest things that I love about our rooms is really the vulnerability and the honesty that we all share with each other. When it comes to being entrepreneurs, we obviously want to make money, and there's this kind of veneer of folks kind of broadcasting themselves as being incredibly successful, always making money and this and that. But as real entrepreneurs, we know that there's ups and there's downs. And so I really appreciate everybody being honest, being forthright, knowing and recognizing what went wrong this year and how we can improve, but also realizing, hey, you know what? I had success as well, and I'm going to continue on that path. So I really appreciate everybody being here and sharing. And of course, I want to give props to Wendy. Wendy is quite the force when it comes to the ideas, the creation, and the content that we have, not just for the podcast, but just for the room and for everything that we've embarked on. So I really appreciate Wendy getting everybody together here for this particular room and really carrying the weight of the room today, because I definitely am not feeling that great, unfortunately. But I know that I could always count on Wendy to bring forth that energy, and I really appreciate Wendy and everything that she does. Thanks to everybody that was able to participate today. And I look forward to really collaborating and contributing to everybody in one way or another as we start getting into 2023. Thank you.
Yeah, and much love to everybody in your 2023 endeavors. I look forward to seeing each of you hustle. I follow a lot of you guys, and everybody in the audience. I follow a bunch of you guys too on Instagram, and I think it's great to see how people have been able to, transform their journeys. And it's wonderful to see when people go from, regular person in a coaching circle with you to 33,000 members of their community on Instagram. It's just a phenomenal growth that I've seen in a couple of people that I know, that are real people, right? And real people making an impact and who are, have important lessons to share, have wisdom to share, have battled with, do I have the voice or the platform, or am I doing enough, or what am I doing? And oh my gosh, and here comes Lachelle. I can't close the room because Lachelle came. Darn it, Lachelle, come on up. And one of those people that I get inspired by all the time is this America's Supermom. Hi, Lachelle. Of course, you would come right when I was about to close the room. So, Lachelle, the question is, how has your impact been in 2022? Do you think you made the impact you were setting out to make in the beginning of the year? And then what is the strategy you're investing in for 2023? So I'm going to tee that up for you, and then I'm going to turn it over to you to answer the question. But the one thing I will say about the community that we put together that is phenomenal is every time I turn around, somebody is elevating in the community, and I get to watch everybody. And I think that it's important that we cheer each other on, we share each other's messages, share stuff to your stories or to your wherever, and just help people out who are, are good people, right? And so if you've met someone through this circle, through this room, through these spaces, you kind of know that they're a good person. So make sure that you help them out. But also, I'm always appreciative of you guys supporting me in the content journey that I'm on as well. So thank you guys for being here. So, Lachelle, I'm going to turn it over to you for the last share of the day, and then we'll close out the room.
Buenos dias. Gracias. Thank you for having me today, Wendy. And I'm glad I got a chance to catch you before you closed the room. Things are crazy, getting ready for the holiday again and having 10 kids under one roof. So That is definitely what's been kind of chaotic and crazy behind the scenes on my end. But I think one of the things that I focused on in 2022 was really more automation, creating systems so that I could be away from what I was doing, but not looking like I was away. I have a senior this year, and for us, things have really gotten back to our kind of normal, which is crazy. I have a cheerleader, two wrestlers, and a number of them working in totally different directions outside of school. So it is like a revolving door at our household. And my husband works nights. So things are more busy for me in real life. And so I had to really work on creating systems and automation to continue to have the presence of being in my communities and creating content. I think for me in 2023, the thing that I am pursuing is synergy. I really want to be able to connect with people that have the same values, I would say. I wouldn't even say the same mindset because there's a lot of different growth patterns that I would like to take that are not in my zone of genius. So I'm interested in people that have the same values so that I can duplicate myself faster. So that's what's on the horizon for me. But congratulations on your room. Looks like it went well today.
Yeah, we've had a great conversation, and it's going to be part of our last episode of our podcast for the season. So I'm excited that your voice got to be on it, Lachelle. And I think you're right. You know, there's been so many things going on in your life. I'm excited to always hear how to systematize and make things easier for you. I've been learning a lot from Lachelle and the system she's been putting in place, but also just Lachelle's journey as a mom of 15 kids. I wouldn't even know, like I said earlier, Rocky was in here talking about 10 kids. I wouldn't even know what to do with 10 kids, let alone 15 kids. So Lachelle's continuing to amaze me with how she organizes her life and her business and everything in between. So thanks for being here, Lachelle. So wonderful room today, everyone. Thank you for all the folks who've been listening, who've been in the chat, who've been part of the conversation. Like I said, episode will be up later this afternoon on our podcast. So if you are interested in hearing the rest of the conversation, if you missed any part of it, listen to it as part of the podcast. That way our numbers will be up and we'll be able to end the year with a bang, but also go back and listen to any of the episodes you might have missed. And it's great to see you. I see a couple folks in here. Lady Hustler, I see you down there. Adam, thanks for being part of the chat. And then Ale, for our friend, and Erica, who's here, one of our other friends. Thank you guys for being part of our journey here on the podcast last episode and for being part of the community. So everyone
I
have
wanted
a
to
great,
add one thing, Wendy, before you
oh
go.
yeah, go for it. Sure.
Yeah, for many people who have like these planning apps and things for your content, now is a good time to create your plans for Christmas 2023. So while everything's fresh, start with the end in mind and reverse engineer all the way back through the year. So if you don't know where to start, because a lot of people just are like, oh, I don't know what can plan, what type of content. Start while it's fresh with Christmas, New Year's, but doing it for 2023. So I just wanted to add that.
Ooh, that's a good tip. It's a good end of the podcast tip. If you stayed to the end of the episode, you get to listen to the tips. Thanks, Lachelle. Appreciate it. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful New Year's. It's great to see you all, and I'm looking forward to watching you all level up in the next year.
I hope you'll agree that was an awesome episode. And I really, really love that that's our last conversation for this season. I know even down to the end, we went overtime. We dropped in some good golden nuggets just at the end. And I hope that you really take a lot out of all of the episodes that we produced for this season. Go back and listen to any that you might have missed and make sure that you leave us all the reviews, all the love, all the stars on whatever podcast platform you found us on. We're so thankful for you being part of our collective, and we hope that you will have the inspiration you need to keep changing the world.